Hey everyone, and welcome to the show. Coming up, our favorite Disney stories from 2016, our year in review show. Coming up next, from the Bob Barley Studio in Orlando, Florida, this is the Diz Unplugged. This is the Diz Unplugged, episode 922 for the week of December 20th, 2016. The Diz Unplugged is brought to you by Dreams Unlimited Travel, experts at helping you plan the perfect Disney vacation. Visit them on the web at www.dreamsunlimitedtravel.com. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show, coming to you from the Bob Barley Studio in Orlando, Florida. I'm your host, Pete Werner, joined at the table this week by my good friends John Magi.
Hi, everybody.
Kevin Close.
Hi, everyone.
Kathy Whirling.
Hi, everybody.
Corey Martin.
Just happy for the new year.
And back in the production nook, our associate producer, Rhino Clavin.
Hello.
Along with our producer, Craig Williams.
Happy holidays.
Just say Oliver Green.
Boo.
Maybe Craig won't be here in the new year. All right, so something I wanted to do for a while now, and I think I wanted to do it last year and we didn't. It's kind of a year in review. Kind of look back at the new things that happened in Disney World over the past year, what our favorites were, and then kind of count down the top 10 news stories of the year. And so that's what we're going to do. We're just going to talk about what things really kind of resonated with us. I'm going to go first because I'm the host. And for me, I don't think it's going to come as a galloping shock to anyone. My favorite thing this year was the after-hours events at the Magic Kingdom. I thought they were amazing. And as we mentioned in what I guess will be last week's show, because as you can see, from week to week, we don't change our clothes, I'm really thrilled they're bringing them back. I can't wait to do them again. And I'm glad so many people are excited about it. I think these are going to do better than the last batch did, especially now that they've dropped the price to $119. We get to stay in the Magic Kingdom for 3 hours after it closes to the general public. For me, I think this was there are a few things that I would put on my list, but if I had to pick one, which I did, because that's what I told all you guys, it's the after-hours event at the Magic Kingdom is my favorite thing from this year. What about you, John?
Well, as usual, I misunderstood the assignment. So my answer...
No, it's whatever, anything. So like it's.
I have two things. I have the Disney thing that I'm most excited about that was announced this year is the two new Disney ships. That was a big news story for us. Very excited that two new ships are coming out, 2021 and 2023. So sort of, always cool when there's new stuff, but ships are a big deal. But my favorite thing this year was we did an Alpine Magic Adventures by Disney.
That was amazing. As I knocked my microphone.
You got really excited about it. The trip was incredible. We had a great time. We had a great group of people. However, we ended the trip in Zermatt at the base of the Matterhorn. And I do believe...
No, we ended in Lucerne.
We went to Zermatt at the base of the Matterhorn.
That was the middle of the trip.
We went someplace else after that.
Things happened and we saw things. And seeing the Matterhorn, I think, was possibly...
Okay, but not just seeing the Matterhorn.
Yeah.
We got up in the morning and stepped out onto our balconies, and there was the Matterhorn right there. Plus, we had the most amazing weather, and because normally it's obscured by clouds, but we had the most amazing weather, and yeah, I got very excited.
The one day we took the train.
They're going to get cogwheel train up to... You're not on the Matterhorn, you're across from it, but the view is amazing.
If you're going to obscure things with facts, I'm not playing anymore. But it was what I would, people talk about things that are life-changing. I believe that was a life-changing moment for me. It was incredible.
It's one of those things you never forget.
Never forget.
And it's also one of those things you think to yourself, look where I am.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
It's funny. I bought a cuckoo clock in Switzerland because it's what you do. And hangs in my kitchen, goes off every hour, and every time that thing goes off, I remember the trip. It is the coolest. It's like it's probably the coolest souvenir I've ever bought. Not because there's anything in particular special about the item, other than that. And every hour of the day, I'm reminded of that trip and how wonderful it was, and especially that experience in Zermatt. I mean, I loved. We started that trip in Stresa, Italy, which is near Como, where George has his home. Absolutely stunning shoreside town and amazing food. The best food of any ABD I've been on.
I agree.
This is a foodie's paradise. It's also the most romantic ABD I think I've ever experienced. It's just perfect for couples, which was kind of depressing for me, being I'm single.
Hint, hint.
Hint, hint. Yeah, where the hell, by the way, are the attractive gay single dizzers? Because I was talking to Rido about this the other day. Be in the parks and a listener comes up and like a really good looking guy. I'm like, oh wow, hi, hey, how are you? It's like, and this is my wife. I'm like, so, oh, bleep.
Really, post. Good thing we're not live.
Yeah, really.
It was an incredible trip from beginning to end, but that was one of those things where you just went, wow, and really just incredible. We've had a chance to see and experience a lot of really cool things. We've been very, very lucky to go on some really great trips. I think what really impressed me was this is one of those things where the nature of it was overwhelming, where we've seen works of art, we've seen the David, and we've been to Venice, but the natural beauty of it was
Epic.
Really
The scenery
epic.
going up on that cogwheel train.
Like nothing I've ever seen before.
And then on the drive from Zermatt to Lucerne, we drove through some really amazing countryside.
Mm-hmm.
It was lovely, just lovely. However, I had luckily we got a picture. It's become one of my favorite things. We have a picture from the top of the mountain with the Matterhorn in the background, and it's life changing.
It is. It is. That's something that like I said, will stay with me the rest of my life. No question. No question.
I agree.
And you know, those trips, it's not just that the trips themselves are magnificent, because they are. It's, you know, we're with a group of dizzers, and many of these people have become our friends because we travel with them so much. And so you have that experience. You're not just doing it in these wonderful places, but you're doing it with these people that
We start them with a backstage magic.
Yeah, it's the gateway drug. We always said that. The backstage magic trip is the gateway drug.
Then I've
to
got
ABD.
you.
So what about you, Kevin?
My favorite thing is far less life changing. It's far less dramatic.
Although the fried chicken's good.
I am in love with Art Smith's Homecoming. I love the fact that Disney has built a restaurant where the theme is food. Mm-hmm. You know, no one.
No one's throwing straws at you.
Right, no one's throwing straws at you. There's no lions or elephants screaming. There's not a bat cave. I love Art Smith's Homecoming.
Oh, I love that place.
Southern country food. And I think the restaurant itself is beautiful. It's brighter than most Disney restaurants. There's a lot of windows. We loved it. Absolutely loved it. So much so that we're going back. And
I've been there now I think a half a dozen times. And that was the one thing that when they announced Disney Springs and what was coming, that was the place, because the chef was Oprah's private chef at one time. And when we did the FAM, Art Smith was walking through the restaurant, and I'm like, if he doesn't come to our table, I'm going to go over and grab him and drag him over to our table. And he came and spent a good
There's a picture of
5
our
minutes.
agents with Art Smith.
Yeah.
in my opinion, it's easily the best restaurant at Disney Springs.
Yes.
And I would put it in the top of all the restaurants on Disney property.
The one thing I will say about Art Smith, he is proud of the fact that he was Oprah's personal chef, but he's actually more proud that he is the first Disney college program person to open up their own.
Oh, I didn't realize he
Yes.
was
So,
Disney
like, he
college
was-
program.
He was
Yeah.
an alumni.
That's cool.
That's why they
Yeah.
call it homecoming.
And if
Yeah.
you go to the by the bathrooms, he's got pictures of him from the college program, and then he's got letters from celebrities that have come to his restaurant. But yeah, the whole thing about being a cast member, that was pretty cool.
There's also a picture of him and his husband. It's a huge picture of him and his husband overlooking the dining room. And from a personal point of view, I think that's kind of cool.
That's cool.
Yes.
We ate there. We did a vlog review of it, and I liked my meal, but we weren't overwhelmed with it.
Oh, I hated mine. It was just, but I think mine was made poorly.
I had the catfish. It wasn't good, but I did go back and I had the fried chicken, shrimp and grits, and it was really good.
And just the number of people that I've heard give this place rave reviews, I think we just might have hit an off day.
I think so. We went for lunch.
I want to go back and try it again.
Yeah.
I had a burger. And people always ask what's the best burger on Disney property. The Hamilton burger at Homecoming is
Really?
by far.
What made it special? What was it?
It's
Lin-Manuel. I never get him.
awesome. Good for you. Craig made a Broadway reference.
Gay trap.
My plan is coming to fruition.
There you go.
We try and convert your children, by the way.
It tasted like a burger I would make at home, which I find very rare when you go out.
Yeah.
It just had the right amount of things on it. Now, there were 5 of us, and we ordered probably more than we should have. And one of our biggest mistakes was we ordered soup, thinking the price was for a cup of soup. And I think I got a wash tub full of soup. And it it tasted to me like a chicken pot pie filling, which I love, but it was a little thinner. It was more of a soup. But John and we realized that when we go back, we would dial back on what we ordered, because we ordered a lot of stuff. We ordered a lot of sides, and my problem was that there was so much food that we didn't get to finish it. We would split things instead. But loved it. As a matter of fact, my soup was so good, they went and found me a coffee cup to take my soup home, and we ate it for lunch the next day.
Oh, wow.
That's great.
I'm really thrilled with it. But that's it.
So Artsman's Homecoming.
I think it's a great addition. It's also, if you have dietary restrictions, I don't know how to say this, the food is simpler.
Yeah.
There are more choices that are, I want to say basic, and I'm not using that as a bad thing. I'm sure she won't mind. Tracy Heinrichs is a picky eater. She's choosy about what she eats, and she thinks this is amazing. So when Tracy and I agree on a restaurant, because we come from opposite ends, that's a good thing as far as I'm concerned.
Okay. How about you, Miss Kathy?
Well, mine's not as life-changing or earth-shattering, but preferred parking at the parks. That was one of those things that it was supposed to be a test that's now, it's part of what they do. And I made fun of it for a long time until I used it one time for food and wine. And being able to spend that extra $15 to park up front at Epcot.
Well, it's 15 for us because we're annual pass holders.
Right.
Otherwise, it's 35, isn't it?
Well, you pay your regular parking, and then there's a $15 charge for the preferred parking. It's great to be
So
able
yes, 35.
Yes,
35.
35, yeah. The only bad thing is I'm, an early riser and early park goer, so that they took away my spots for where I used to always park for free. But preferred parking is just great.
What park would you say is the best value, where you really get the best value in terms of preferred parking?
I think Magic Kingdom.
Really? Even though, I think I use it all the time. I like it. But I feel like Magic Kingdom is the least value because you still have to go to the transportation ticket center.
Always another form of transportation.
Whereas like at Epcot,
I think is where it's
or even Hollywood Studios, because sometimes in Hollywood Studios when it's busy, you can be parked back in New Jersey, and so anything that gets me right up close to the entrance.
I just think that Magic Kingdom's a little more on the ball for getting you into your spot. You still have to walk, yes, but
I'll agree with that, absolutely.
So
Well, it's time of day too.
Right.
I mean, if you're coming in at like Epcot during Food and Wine at 4:00, you're going
Right.
to be out in the middle of nowhere. That's a perfect time to
Right.
pay the extra money to get all the way up to the front. If you are going if you're going at Park Open, you can still get a good spot without needing it. So.
Yeah.
it just depends. Again, that's another one of those how you want to spend your money. If
Right.
If you're like, I like riding the tram in a lot of times because to me that's the start of my day at a park. But if I'm in a hurry and want to get to Food and Wine or Flower and Garden, being able to do preferred parking. works.
There was another one on your list too. I'm going to let you talk because I don't think anybody else has it.
The express transportation option that they just came out with. I'm excited to go try that, just because, you know, there's times that we all have to jump from one park to the other, and to be able to go backstage and jump on a bus and bypass the security checkpoint.
So Miss Kathy is a fan of the upcharge.
Yeah, believe that one. There's just a few of these that it's like,
But again, like I was saying on the last show, there are some of them that make sense, that
Right.
are, you know, for certain people are going to have some value. And that's where Disney needs to be looking. And I think they are starting to, I mean, okay, I'm really having a hard time with this $700 cabana in Tomorrowland.
Right.
But beyond that,
again, it's, you know, like how $15 a day, if you're coming down and you only got like a 3-day vacation, you can pack a lot more into your day, because, you know, I deal with a lot of clients that they're not sure that they would get value from a park hopper ticket, because it's hard to, you know, take the bus out and then go to the next place and go through security. And for $15, you've missed a big part of that. You've recovered your time that now you can go to another park.
This is going to help those folks who they want to be in the Magic Kingdom, but they want to have lunch at Epcot.
Right. Exactly.
So this is going to help you get there much faster and make it even feasible. Because
Sometimes time is money.
And this one is not, I don't think they're overcharging. I think this is probably like the right price. Now, if they raise the price, then I'd have a problem.
Or if it gets too crowded that it no longer becomes an advantage.
right.
So that's mine.
Awesome. Corey.
Mine's not really huge either, but you know, when Disney first announced it as a perk, an additional perk for annual pass holders, I didn't think much of it until we started using it. It's the free photo pass.
Oh, yeah,
And
yeah.
I've never really used PhotoPass before up until this point, and I'm usually the person behind the camera, and Julie documents too, but we're never, you know, in a family photo together usually. So it's a nice addition to say, all right, let's hop behind, hop here and get a photo, and it's quick. It shows up in your app right away.
Right, yeah.
And a lot of times when we're driving home, Julie's downloading all the photos, and they're on Facebook before we're even home. And so it's a nice perk, and you know, all else fails, you don't download it. But it's like I said, I didn't think it'd be something cool, but it really is.
I don't know if we've mentioned it on any show so far, but now you can edit the pictures.
Yeah.
Well, that's on the new app that they just released for Android, which is going to be coming out for iOS in the next few months. But on the new app for Android, yeah, you can edit your PhotoPass photos right in the app. So that's kind of cool, yeah.
Yeah, it shows we actually go to the parks, because usually we're not in the picture.
I'm never in the picture, which I'm fine with. That's good.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I thought that was a good perk.
Yeah.
I think certainly this year has been the year of increased perks and discounts for annual pass holders, which I'm very happy about. But we all know what's going to happen. Once things start going better, once they start making the numbers they want to make, those things are going to go away. So enjoy them while they're here.
And it's nice to run it, like to walk up and you see a PhotoPass photographer, then there's like just standing by themselves, and hey, might as well take a photo. It's
Right.
great.
Exactly. Thank you, Corey. What about you, Mr. Rhino Clavin?
I liked Club Villain. I liked that a lot. Like when you asked us to think about this, I tried to, I love Disneyland. I loved the fam cruise that we went on and stuff, but a lot of that was, we were working so intensely while we were there. So I try to think like, what's a cool thing for a guest experience? And that Club Villain is still sitting with me. Like if you said, hey, I got tickets to go back tomorrow, I'd be like, I'm there. Like I will go with you again in a heartbeat. I thought it was, I did think it was pricey, and I am cheap, but here we are almost a year later, because we went really early on in the year, maybe like March or something like that. But a lot of that still stuck with me, like how good the performers were, and I really enjoyed the food and the interaction with characters.
Outstanding.
Don't you
yeah.
remember we all sort of went in with a bad attitude, because it's like, okay, they're overcharging us for this, and within minutes we're all there like, wow, this was really an experience.
Yeah.
And I just want to point out the number of things showing up on this list that are upcharges, that are part of the things that people kind of get their pennies in a wad over. that these things, again, now Club Villain wasn't particularly cheap
Right.
per person. And we went in with our expectations like this was going to probably suck, but I wanted to cover it. And we all walked out of there going, "Oh my God, that was so worth every penny."
Yeah, I would put it on the level of like I enjoy Hoop-de-Doo, and I was lucky enough being a cast member to get that 50% discount, so it was only like 35 or so for me to go, and that's worth it. But I think this is on that level of Hoop-de-Doo. Like because of where it was at Hollywood Studios, we were thinking like, oh, it's just thrown
It's
together.
like demented Hoop-de-Doo.
Right, yeah. And this, for me, like, if you say, okay, pick one or the other. I mean, I love Hoop-de-Doo, but this, I don't know. The Club Villain is cool. It's inside. You've got a little bit more. You can get up and roam. It's a little more freedom than Hoop-de-Doo where you're in your seat. But I would say it's on that level of an experience right up there, And so I kind of hope that this becomes some sort of a permanent fixture, because I would love to do this again.
Well, I know they've announced dates for next year. So I'm glad that these things are doing well enough that they're coming back. Mm-hmm. And interested to see how Disney, if any changes Disney makes to it. But I agree, Club Villain was phenomenal.
Yeah.
What about you, Craig?
I have two. One was kind of a disaster, and one was the other thing that I genuinely was surprised and enjoyed. I liked the first, Animal Kingdom at night, while absolutely beautiful, especially the Tree of Life shows. They're running on it. That was just stunning. It's always amazing to be at Animal Kingdom at night. But the night safari was such a mess. It never worked the way they wanted it to.
Wait, is that one of your favorite things?
Yeah, no, just the entire Animal Kingdom at night.
Oh,
It doesn't matter that the safari was a complete mess and it just doesn't work at night. It doesn't matter that Rivers of Light is now being pushed to some random time in 2017 that they're not saying when it's going to be. Wow. But it's still just such an amazing experience to be at Animal Kingdom at night that it's totally worth it. And I know it's all building up to Avatar opening, and that needs to be open at night. So that's why they need to start this big push with it too. But I loved going there at night. It had that atmosphere. And my big surprise, I think the best edition of the year that I preferred besides the PhotoPass photos, I really like Frozen Ever After. I really, really enjoyed it. The more I think about it, I haven't been on it now in maybe 2 or 3 months. I haven't really actively searched for a fast pass on it, but I think back on my first ride on it, like the animatronics were all working perfectly my first time around. It was beautiful. It was amazing. And while still we can have the argument all day, is it in the right place or not? Whatever. That wasn't for us to decide, but it's a good attraction. And clearly it's still popular every single day. So they got something right with it. Those are my two things.
I went ahead earlier today and I asked folks on my Facebook page to throw out some of their, what things stood out to them. Now, certainly a number of people mentioned, because when we talk about the news stories that were the most popular or the most read news stories, and certainly the alligator attack is going to feature in that, but that also featured in the comments here. But also the number of people saying Disney After Hours. As I was talking about before, people that you yell about the upcharges, yet then once they experience them, feel differently about it. But I've got a few people here that say I'm so excited they've announced. Michelle wrote, so excited they announced the 7 days of After Hours events next year. But somebody else comments, John Coney comments, for me, it's the ongoing series of paid add-ons that Disney has come up with. Personally, I think the majority of them have been great. That's what he says. Somebody mentions the Princess 5K. Hurricane Matthew got mentioned quite a bit as a big event this year, obviously. Not favorites, but a lot of people's vacations were affected or canceled over that. Jennifer Imperato wrote, "We did the early morning magic at the Magic Kingdom during our trip on September 6th, and it was easily the best morning we had the whole trip. It was well worth the cost of the tickets."
I also think people are now seeing too, these add-ons, first of all, they're voluntary. You don't have to pay that money if you don't want to do it. But second, they don't seem to be impacting the regular guest experience. Nothing's being taken away from the regular guest if they don't want to pay these things.
Well, somebody mentioned that they were upset that the Star Wars fireworks were replaced with Jingle Bell, Jingle Bam. Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party, getting some shout outs. So it's, it's funny where we started the year in terms of some of these add-ons, these upcharges, and where we're ending the year with them. So I think some of them have proven to be really good experiences if you want to pay it. And as John said, you don't have to. Somebody else commented on Facebook that, I went out of my way to intentionally avoid anything with an upcharge, and I had a great time. So those things are all possible. You don't have to do them, and you can choose where and especially for those people who have been to Disney World 732 times, you have options for these new experiences now. And that's kind of how I look at it, because we do this all the time. We're in the parks all the time. So we have an opportunity to do a new experience. We're excited about it, and we'll go into it like we did with Club Villain, saying, this is probably going to suck. And then when it doesn't, and the entertainment is that good, because the entertainment was absolutely spectacular.
I honestly go back and I've watched the video once, every now and then I'm like,
Yeah.
maybe I'm holding up too high. And I just keep thinking when he's saying, I put a spell on you, and I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
that's good.
He was amazing, that
Yes.
guy. All right, let's take a look at what the top news stories of the year were for 2016. Now, this is based on traffic on the Diz, on page views. The number 10 news story, a Disney World cast member fired after tweeting backstage sign about alligators. Number of the news stories, of course, that are appearing in the top 10 are certainly related to the alligator story, but interestingly enough, it is not the number one news story on the site by a wide margin. Interestingly enough, by a wide margin, it is not the number one story of the year. Update on water-related activities at Walt Disney World was the number 9 story. Again, this was
Alligator-related.
Alligator-related. Number 8, something certain to break the Disney internet every time. Anything having to do with resort mugs. Handles are removed from resort refillable mugs at Walt Disney World.
Oh, can we hope that when they came back?
Into your mic there.
Can we hope that when the handles came back, that's one of the top news stories?
It is not.
Aw.
It is not. Now, are they doing both still, or
No, it's
just
back to handles.
They just brought so the handleless mugs were so unpopular that okay.
You might still find them, but they're bad with handles.
All right, the number 7 story. The family that sued Disney claiming that their grandmother died after her grandson was bitten by a snake. Number 6, back to the alligator story. All beaches closed at Walt Disney World was the number 6 story of the year. Number 5, Walt Disney World employee defrauds company of $112,000. Number 4, father says 2 gators were involved in the attack on the toddler at Disney. Number 3 certainly relates to not that the alligator story wasn't incredibly sad, but especially for many of us in this room, the Pulse shooting in Orlando back in June was a massive story, and security tightened at Walt Disney World after the Orlando shooting. Became the number 3 story of the year. Number 2, the alligator attack on child at the Grand Floridian. And this surprised me. This surprised me when I saw this. The number 1 story of the year on the Diz. Police investigate death at Disney's Contemporary Resort. There was the suicide. And when I tell you that this story received almost 70% more page views than the alligator story did. Now, obviously, if I combined all the stories relating
Yeah.
to the alligator attack, that by far was the largest story of the year. But in terms of individual articles, individual news stories that went up,
Craig,
the death of the contemporary was the story that got the most page views.
can you go for the slide from 10 to 6? I want to pull one word out of each story and see if we can find a
Death,
pattern.
death,
All
scam.
right, first one is fired, and then there's 8, 9, nothing really. Removed, died, closed. Next. Defraud,
Attack, shooting, attack, death.
Jeez.
Yeah, and I'll just say that we don't position these stories differently. We don't do anything to, whenever there's a news story, we release it. We write it up. We release
Facts,
it.
yeah.
But this is what attracts. It's a good point. They tend to be very negative. They tend to be the stories that
Regular
are,
news does too.
yeah. If it bleeds, it leads.
You can't bleed. You can't blame the media. It's the people that want to hear this stuff.
I wasn't blaming anybody. All I was saying is,
No, he
I know.
wasn't- I don't think he
I'm
was
saying
saying
that.
to people, you can't blame the media for reporting on these things. It's clearly what they want to read.
And I like I said before, obviously, I think for us, the Pulse shooting was the most impactful thing that happened this year.
we talk about things being life changing. That was life changing.
That was life changing.
6 months now, right?
Yep.
Just-
Yeah,
The
just
other day.
celebrated
It's hard to
this.
believe.
And
It's
the
just hard to
impact
believe.
beyond Orlando. I think we felt it so hard because we were in Orlando, but we went to the Stonewall Memorial in New York City, and even there's a tribute to the folks in Orlando. So
We watched a TV show last night, and it was the main focus of the TV show. Granted, it was recorded a while ago, but it brings it all back.
It does. It does. And you don't ever want this to happen as a result of a tragedy, but unfortunately it usually does. The way this community came together in Orlando was inspiring, and still does. It hasn't died off. This community is still very tight-knit, is still very focused and remembers it, and it hasn't moved out of our memories. And I was also very moved by the response we got from our viewers and our listeners, especially after the show that we did, where we just basically talked nothing but the Pulse shooting. And I wasn't sure what kind of reaction I didn't care what reaction we were going to get, but I wasn't sure what kind of reaction we would get, and I was very, very touched that it was so positive and so supportive.
My prayers go out to the families.
Mm-hmm.
This is a tough time
Tough
of year.
time of year.
Yep.
I hope they find peace.
So that is our favorite things of the year and the biggest news stories on the Diz for 2016, our year in review. And that will do it for this episode of our show. We will be back with you again on January 3rd with the next edition of the Diz Unplugged. Have a wonderful, wonderful holiday season, a Merry Christmas, and a very Happy New Year, everybody. Thanks for everything.